All right, so doing a little bit of a preview right now. Let me know if you guys can hear me right now. Let me know if you guys are getting any audio. We are going to start right around in a couple of minutes or so. So just bear with me just a second, setting everything up, getting everything ready to go. And okay, let me give you a mark. We will start at exactly 3 minutes from now. So we'll get a little bit of a 3-minute grace period right now, and then we'll get it cracking on the 8-minute mark of this point right here. So once again, let me know if you guys can hear the audio, and then we will go from there, because the topic that we're going to talk about today is Tom Aspinall, right? And also, in light of Tom Aspinall, what we're going to talk about in the 8-minute mark of this live stream is why fans are so divided about his recent training footage. And do they have anything to be concerned about, or is it just standard practice? Well, we're going to talk about all of that and more in a couple of minutes. Stay tuned, because we will talk about those topics, counting down now from 2 minutes. So if you are on the chat right now, let me know what part of the world you guys are from, and yeah, give me some thoughts on this particular topic and what you guys think. The countdown right now is at 1 minute and 30 seconds, or less than 1 minute and 30 seconds from now. So on the 8-minute mark, we are on the 6-minute mark right now. A little bit of a pre-show, and we will get right on number 8. Okay? Number 8 of the time slot. Okay, less than 1 minute now. We will begin the show. All right, shout outs to Magma Orshin. We are less than 30 seconds now starting the show. So for now, we will do only audio, right? And then maybe we'll transition into video in a little bit, but we will, yeah, we will see. Okay, so hello to you. We have about less than 10 seconds, and we're going to start the show. Arshin, okay, that's how you pronounce it. Okay, gotcha, Arshin. All right, so with that in mind, we are now beginning the show right now, and we're going to talk about Tom Aspinall and why many people had problems with the sparring footage from the Sun. And it is important to go into this. No, he says it's your chin. Got it. Okay. So I will pronounce it correctly. And in regards to that, shout outs to you. Wanted to wait for a few more people to pop in here, but we can get started right now. As I had promised, we will start this on the 8-minute mark. So one of the many reasons why a lot of people are sort of concerned for this Tom Aspinall training footage is because, let's just face it, number one, it's the Sun. Number two, it's a UK publishing newspaper, which means they don't know anything about mixed martial arts. Their culture, to be quite honest with you, is quite prude to the idea of MMA, even though that small little island that you call England happens to have some of the best fighters in the world per capita in terms of ratio. Think about how small England is, right? They are the size of California. Yeah, maybe even bigger, maybe a little bit smaller, but let me know on the comment section below. Na 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 na. Tommy Aspinall, Tommy Aspinall, Tommy Aspinall. Shout out to you, Fresh Melon Juice, for that reminder of the song, and yeah, and the admiration that the British people have for Tommy Aspinall. So okay, so here it goes, right? The English are prudes when it comes to mixed martial arts. You guys understand that, right? They are not a huge mixed martial arts country, even though per capita they have some of the best fighters in the world. Think about how small their population is in comparison to China. Yet there is more British fighters in the UK side of things, and maybe that has just something to do with the lack of recruitment from the UFC staff to look into places with big populations, such as India, maybe even China. Now, China has a very developing mixed martial arts system, but India doesn't. Obviously, Jubilee, as you guys know, the Indian mixed martial arts fighter who came under heavy fire for saying that he was going to beat Khabib, recently came out and said, well, you know what, man, even though I had my 2 losses, I know myself, I know what I could do, well, this, that, and the other. Okay, we get it. You lost 2 of your fights, and that's the reason why there's not a lot of people in that part of the world that are in that sport, because quite frankly, it is underdeveloped. Now, it's not to say that Indians would not be great in the sport, but it would be predicated under the idea that they are training or living or grew up in a Western country that has a developing mixed martial arts nation, such as America, Australia, England, and any country that you see represented in their flags in the UFC, right? You guys know this. So let me read what the comments here says. He says, Bruce Lee is the only one who has ever known anything about MMA. Well, I don't know about that. I would actually have to beg to differ with that one. And I could actually give you an assessment on Bruce Lee and how he would do in the modern UFC. Fresh says, they are boxers and hooligans. Yes, the English culture has a heavy a handprint on the world of boxing. And then that also includes soccer, which, by the way, brings out the soccer hooligan culture that comes with that. Speaking of soccer, one thing that I do have in common with Tom Aspinall is that we are both Manchester City supporters. Now, obviously, when it comes to Manchester, which is where Tommy Aspinall is from, or at least outside the skirts of it, there's 2 teams in that part of the world. There's Manchester United, which is the red team, and then Manchester City, which is the blue team. And you could imagine why I picked Manchester City over Manchester United. And I'm sure that is a giveaway. Okay, he says, okay, yeah, we read that part. They are boxers and hooligans. So, okay. So the fact that they are not really that much involved in MMA, and take this for an example. How involved is America in MMA? We'll take a look at Donald Trump and the MAGA movement and the fact that he constantly promotes our sport to the highest order, right? He makes our sport look like the sport of kings. Whereas there is an actual king in England, okay, by the name of King Charles. And the one problem with King Charles, unfortunately, is that he doesn't recognize MMA in the way that Donald Trump does. And you would imagine the political ideals and the opposition forces behind Donald Trump's ideology and that of King Charles, who, by the way, is sort of a little bit more, how do I say this, liberal than than Donald Trump himself. I think you guys could agree to that, right? He's a little bit more liberal in that sense, and King Charles has proven that over the years. So he's not only a liberal, he's also an elitist. So that means that both liberals and elitists in England have ties with each other, okay? Because when you think about elitist, you think about celebrities, you think about royal family and things of that nature, right? Who are the prevailing media that sort of covers these things? Well, it is none other than liberal media in and of itself. So as a result of liberal media covering these people, they aspire to be like them. So they take up their entire ideology. So then when you bring forth the idea of mixed martial arts into the culture of Britain, you're going to look at it with a snub look in your face, right? I got a buddy in England who boxed with Anthony Joshua, trained with Anthony Joshua. His name is Michael Kelly, right? He's, a good Facebook friend of mine, right? And, well, you know what? He's a bit of a boxing purist, right? I asked him, hey, do you like mixed martial arts? You know, you guys have a lot of good fighters in your country. You guys have a lot of good fighters in your country. Why don't you, I don't know, yeah, why don't you watch mixed martial arts? Like, aren't you proud that you see these English guys sort of really doing well in the UFC, whereas the UFC was not really that friendly with the British in terms of competition over the years, right? Unless it was Michael Bisping, and then even in his earlier career, even within, I would argue, the prime days of his career, he would climb to the top and just get shot back down whenever there was a title challenger eliminator. Let me read some of these comments before I continue on. Okay, so the king doesn't recognize his people, Fresh Melon Juice says. Magnum says, bah. Fresh Melon Juice says, the use. Okay, what is the use? Fresh Melon Juice says the media, the use. Yurshin says, I hope you know that my name is pronounced Yorchin, not Arshin. Okay, gotcha. Okay. It doesn't matter how you pronounce your name, Fresh Melon Juice says, as doing the Rock impression. Okay, so please, my apologies. Me as well, being named Kyrie Abu El-Kheer, you would imagine that I get a lot of people that bastardize my name. So, my man, trust me, I highly empathize and sympathize with you, yes. So, I will pronounce you by its proper pronunciation, and that goes by your chin. Got it. All right, so shout out to your chin. Okay, so going back to the topic at hand, right? The English being part of mixed martial arts culture. Unfortunately, they have a very, okay, going back to my friend Michael Kelly, okay? He says he doesn't like mixed martial arts because he says he doesn't like seeing men expose their feet. He says it's very non-European to do that. I said, wow, this is very interesting. You know what? You are right. When you think about it, when you think about other cultures, Middle Eastern cultures, obviously you have to take your shoes off when you get in the house because you have to treat your house almost like a mosque. The Japanese have very similar hygienic practices in that regard. Also, other Asian cultures, you can argue, have that same type of, that same type of energy as well. That same type of, they have that same type of cultural practices. Okay, so the bottom line about this, he says, does he not know what and your chin is? Yeah, I don't understand what that means. And then he says you're China, and then he says Trump. Okay, he says shoes are dirty. They should be going off when you're going into somebody's home. Yes. So once again, I would argue that Europeans don't tend to practice this same type of hygiene unless, of course, it is their own personal choice and they just happen to be of European descent, right? That is if they're also European descent of Muslim background, or maybe somebody that is just very germophobic, right? Ariel Hawani prides himself in being germophobic. He says that he constantly washes his hands and uses sanitizers, and I think that has a Jewish religious component to it, which is that very similar to Islam. But what I'm saying is that, yes, he said that he doesn't like mixed martial arts because you have to expose your feet. And he says that this is so non-European. I don't like watching sports that doesn't have shoes. And this is a guy who boxed with Anthony Joshua, right? So that right there, so Fresh Melon Juice says the same. Okay, so what you're saying is that even though you are of European descent, you still carry these same practices, you say, right? Okay, so very good. All right. So, okay, so you understand what I'm saying, right? This is their mindset. Okay, it's very foreign to them. They don't understand it. And you got to remember, mixed martial arts is derived from Muay Thai. Okay, now, let's go into history of colonization in this, right? When the French came into Thailand and learned about Muay Thai, you know what they said? This is a very brutal sport. So you know what they did? They copied the Thais and they created what you would call savate. Savate is a French-style kickboxing that took from the Thais, but at the same time modified it to something quote-unquote more civilized, something more European. And what exactly is civilized? Well, not elbowing an opponent, not kneeing an opponent. So they took out the knees and they took out the elbows. Ricardo says Savati is awesome. Yes. Fresh says Sucka Deep is Thai greeting. Okay. It's a Thai greeting. Okay. So you must have trained Muay Thai then for you to understand that. See, I'm kind of cracking into you a little bit, Fresh Melon Juice, right? I'm now understanding, number one, you're not a teenager, which you claimed to be, and if you are, then you're a very intelligent teenager, right? Also, you do maintain every time, and you don't steer off from this, that you are Christian, so that's one thing that I could take out of this. Your racial origin, I would not know, but I also would not be surprised if, let's say, you were of mixed race, right? Or having a mixed background of some kind, or just maybe a white person that has had a diverse background, right? That is the overall analysis that I'm kind of gathering from you, Mr. CIA over there. You know what I mean? I'm showing you a little bit of some CIA skills over here. But yeah, Ricardo says Savate feels more like karate than Muay Thai. Yes, because what they did was civilize that sport. So this is kind of the point that I'm trying to make, is that the reason why Great Britain is not caught up yet on the idea of mixed martial arts is because of the fact that, hey, you know what? Mixed martial arts is a very foreign concept to them, which involves Muay Thai, by the way, from Thailand, also involves wrestling, by the way, a component of Britain that is not yet really developed. Now, does Britain have a British national wrestling team? Yes, they do. No high school system, no college system, is that it becomes very underdeveloped. You see, our American wrestlers here in the United States are highly developed, right? Highly developed to the point where they understand competition from the time they hit college. You see, I never wrestled in college, right? But I did wrestle in high school. And wrestling in high school, what I found out was, man, I know what it feels like to get in there and have a competition, because you're doing it hundreds and hundreds of times within a span of a year. And the next thing you know, you got a record that spans about, you know, almost 100 matches, right? Now, I know a lot of people say that wrestling is not a fight, but I tell you what, it prepares you for a fight. I seen this video yesterday with a white kid that was getting messed around with this black kid, right? And the black kid was a little bit taller than him. It looked like it was in Target. So he goes and he smacks the hat off the white kid, and guess what the white kid does? He goes and shoots in for a double leg. He takes him down on the ground in the middle of Target and then starts ground and pounding him and telling him, hey, you should have never messed with me. So very interesting, right? That is what wrestling can do for you. But the British, though, they are used to being in fights. This is the reason why you can have a situation where Tom Aspinall, who grew up in the streets of the UK, but also with the jiu-jitsu background, can take on somebody like John Jones, who grew up on a wrestling mat, which is why the Ultimate Fighting Championship and mixed martial arts in and of itself is a great proving ground to not only understand what technique works, but also to help the audience understand what type of environments these men came from and what inspired their fighting techniques. And yet, despite all that, Great Britain is still unembracive of mixed martial arts. And this is the reason why we have this article by The Sun that is dividing a lot of people, which, by the way, not a lot of people that consume The Sun are necessarily an American audience. You guys understand that, right? So, all right, let me read some of these comments real quick. Okay, so Savati feels more like karate and Muay Thai. We read that. Did you call Mufti to investigate me? Fresh says, I think the Polish in Aspinal is what makes him great. You know what, man? Listen, the Polish are the prevailing white dominant fighting force in UK combat sports. Think about this, right? Tom Aspinall is Polish. You know who else is Polish? That's a great UK combat athlete. It's Carl Froch. Obviously, Carl Froch is negotiating right now to fight Darren Till, but we will see what comes out of that. Ricardo says, Tom Aspinall is too physical for John Jones. He says, no, Aspinall is a turtle on his back. Well, explain what you mean when you say that Tom Aspinall is a turtle on his back. Explain what that means, my man. I'd like a little bit more of an elaboration on that if you don't mind. If you don't mind, please give me a little bit of some elaboration on that. What exactly do you mean by Tom Aspinall being a turtle on his back? Okay, so let's get back to the topic at hand, right? Because I think this is a very interesting topic. So when you read a lot of the comments, well, actually, I didn't read a lot of the comments. I didn't even read the comments at all, but I'm just going to hypothesize to you what the comments may have been. And it goes something like, oh, well, you know, this is why it's a brutal sport. Once again, that is a casual take. Oh, he's going too hard at his training partners. Well, here's another thing, right? Tom Aspinall is actually trying to prepare himself for combat, and none of these things are non-standard in a practice that he is conducting with his training partners. And by the way, Tom Aspinall has some of the best training partners in the world. He's got Phil DeFries, who's a KSW heavyweight champion, right? So that means you got another heavyweight champion that you are training with. He's training with Rico Verhoeven, the best heavyweight kickboxer in the world. So then there's another heavyweight champion that you got with you. And then he trains with Mick Parkin, who's a very well-rounded mixed martial arts fighter who's a prospect in the heavyweight division right now. And then a whole list of other names of guys that you don't know, mostly heavyweights. And then the Sun training footage that the Sun newspaper presented was a sparring partner that was way bigger than both Tom Aspinall and Cyril Gane, and we don't really know his name. Ricardo says, dang, you got some good mad insights. Yes, thank you so much, Ricardo. You know what? I don't know if you know, let me put on the camera real quick, because I'm doing a road trip right now. Because, you know, let me just say that I conduct business across California, so I'm always, you know, traveling. But I do try to manage to get these live streams going to give the world some mixed martial arts insights. So, yeah, man, good morning to everybody around the world right now. Shout out to Fresh Melon, who says he might have to fight his training partner for the title because the division is shallow. Okay, if you're talking about a training partner, I believe you are referring to that Croatian guy, Delgi. Anti-Delgi, right? I believe that is who you are referring to. And if so, okay, yeah, I don't think he's right up there yet, right? Tom Aspinall still has a couple more fights. And for all we know, maybe Tom Aspinall might just call it a day after he beats, you know, a few guys. For sure, if he beats John Jones, he might just retire right there, right? Everybody talks about how John Jones is going to retire after such and such fight, which also includes the Stipe fight, but nobody ever talks about the fact that Tom Aspinall has really cleaned out a division in which nobody really is there for him to get at, right? So we will see, but that would be an interesting matchup for the both of them. And at some point, maybe what he has to do is go train with other people. By the way, a little side segment on this, Brandon Allen. Very interesting stuff. They are talking about investigating this phone where this guy was showing a photo of somebody that looked like a hostage or somebody that got knocked out or somebody in distress, and then people are thinking that maybe this is some sort of like Vancouver serial killer of some sort. But very interesting stuff. So Brandon Allen, I'm thinking of the boxer David Allen, but Brandon Allen, before he was gonna fight RDR, and even before he got called in short notice, he trained with another team, or they trained side by side, but he refused to train with him because he knew that one day he was going to fight him. And that, I think, is what Delgy has to do. Okay, so now, we're in 30 minutes of this live stream, right? I want to talk about the techniques that I had noticed with Tom Aspinall, right? We talked about a whole wide range of things in terms of the outrage that people have with the sparring footage, right? And in my assessment, in understanding everything from the article and the people's responses, also the psychological aspects of Great Britain's mindset on mixed martial arts and their colonized mentality on it, right, leads me to the conclusion that a lot of these people just have casual takes. They don't understand the sport, but I want to emphasize this. Sparring is still damaging. You see, Paulie Malignaggi, before he did his bare knuckle fight recently, what he did was he had said that he didn't spar as much, right? Max Holloway talks about not sparring as much. So maybe there's a conversation of saving your brain a little bit, right? So that's something that we can always discuss. But the one thing, or a couple of things that I had noticed with this sparring video, Tom Aspinall looks a whole lot faster than he has always looked, right? Tom Aspinall is already a fast heavyweight. What I saw out of Tom Aspinall looked like a prime Conor McGregor with the speed and the explosiveness of somebody that is way smaller than him, and he's always had that. Now he has it in even more of a torque to his game. So this is something to look out for, okay? The other thing to look out for is some spinning back kicks. Now, you see John Jones knock out Stipe Miocic or TKO him to the body with spinning back kicks, right? I think that Tom Aspinall is looking at John Jones and he's saying, you know what, man, he's the greatest fighter of all time. I think I could beat him. But not only can I beat him, I can also outstyle him, right? Because let's be honest, if Tom Aspinall is not fighting John, then unfortunately he has to fight himself. Tom Aspinall has to fight himself in terms of improvements and what he can do as a top tier level heavyweight undisputed champion. Because it's not fair that you got Francis Ngannou out there in another organization who has never been beaten in MMA. You can argue the Tyson Fury fight, you can argue the Anthony Joshua fight, but he was not beaten in the sport of MMA, and he will always come back to the sport of MMA as a champion. But in my mindset, I look at it like you lost a fight, you lost a fight. A fight is a fight, and those are the rules that you agree to. It's a fight by the end of the day. Nonetheless, he's still the undisputed champion. He's also a PFL champion to go along with his new promotion that he had signed to, and the championship fight that he had against that 6'7" Brazilian, Ferreira, right? He's out there. John Jones is out there. He beat Stipe Miocic for all that's worth, and yet he's still out there living his best life, as he calls it, while looking to retire as the greatest heavyweight and light heavyweight at the same time. And Tom Aspinall could be an afterthought if he loses this fight against Cyril Gane. Okay? So, a lot of good technique that I've noticed, a lot of good speed that I noticed Tom Aspinall put together. But not only with the speed, it is also the fact that Tom Aspinall is in even better shape, right? When he first came into the UFC, he looked like a bit of a chubby heavyweight. Now he looks like a very lean heavyweight, right? So this is very significant for his speed, and not only that, for his stamina, which is why I gave the prediction in the video that Tom Aspinall is going to pretty much go 5 rounds, because he wants to test out his cardio in that regard. Okay, so let me read some of these comments right here. He says, I don't think he will leave when the money gets better. He has children. Okay, I would agree to that. You're right. Yeah, I think you're right. I think there's a little bit of some financial incentives that he could set his family up for. Okay, you're right about that. I stand corrected. Aspinall is not made for media and movies. Not many options other than fighting. You're right about that. And then here's Cyril Gane in 2 French MMA gangster movies. Ricardo says, Aspinall's too good. Watch people realize he's the greatest UFC's has ever seen. I would say so, yeah. I think he would beat a prime Brock Lesnar. He would have a good fight against Cain Velasquez, but ultimately he would beat Cain Velasquez. I think Tom looks faster than he is. His movement is exaggerated waste of energy. I don't know about that. Ricardo says Ngannou is 39 now. I don't think he can be what he was. Fresh Melon Juice says, I think Kyrie is on amphetamine today. No, I'm not. Not at all, my man. Not at all. I'll tell you what it is, right? You know, I just train hard, and on certain days I rest. And then when I rest, I build up all that energy from the hard training sessions that I do. And you've seen my training sessions live in here. Give me a like. Everybody around the world, give me a like if you've seen my training sessions before and how hard they are. You know what I mean? Like they will have a certain cause and effect to your body in that. So no, it's not amphetamines or anything like that. Maybe a good coffee will do that, but that's about it. I'm a very natural guy. You know, me and TJ Dillashaw are very natural athletes. So, you know, we're gonna leave it